So
I feel like black.
Well, this is just for a backup, for just in case.
Well, black is beautiful. They can't see my eyes, but that's okay. You know these cameras is racist. They are. They not designed for...
No, I know. Because I said that when I first started vlogging anyway. Like, when I very first time I started vlogging, I was trying to do vlogging, like, on this campus at night. It just wasn't working. There were no lights. There was no shit. I was like, this is not made for black people to be vlogging at night. Not this campus, no.
No.
This is Myisha. Some of y'all might remember her from the very first time I got the wig that I'm currently wearing. Yes, I straightened it. I know I said I wouldn't, but I did. So shut the fuck up. This is just what it is. So we just did an interview where I interviewed her on Black Love. It was really enlightening and just really powerful in general. So we're going to do like a really, really quick, quick interview of her interviewing me. Quick questions that she wants to ask me on like my perception of Black Love and how that relates to me and all that other kind of great, good shit and all that stuff. So.
Okay. All right. Well, shit. Let's start. My first question that I have for you is... how old were you when you first learned about love, or
love in relation to romance, or just like love in general?
Just love. How old were you?
I would have to say my earliest memory of like love for me. I want to say like 6, like really early elementary school. Because my first interaction with love was between me and my grandmother. And my grandmother, still to this day, is like the top person, the strongest woman I've ever known, and has shaped so much of my life and gave me so much love and everything. So I'd have to say from that young age, because she raised me a lot when I was younger. Then my mother started to take the reins and all that kind of stuff because of like other things and whatnot. But for a large majority of my life, my grandmother was the one who raised me. So she showed me a lot of the love that I show to other people, and that unconditional love, and being able to see past certain flaws and different things like that. But I would have to say probably like 6 around those amounts.
Okay. And I really, you know what I thought was why I asked that question is because I think it's like essential for us to sort of reflect on when we first came in to contact. Why, like with whatever, right? Like, what is your first... There's this theory called like the first contact theory, right? And basically it's like this idea of essentially what it says, right? Like, when did you come in first contact? And the first contact theory is more about race, right? Your first contact in terms of like people's first experiences with other groups of people, right? So like African people have a certain relationship historically with white people because our first contact with them wasn't positive, right? No. Like, maybe they didn't come through kicking down doors, but
no, but they definitely kicking down doors.
So that historically, European people, our first contact with them was like extremely, so anywho, I say all of that to say that, I think it's important for us to go back to our first contact with stuff, because I think that sort of then lets us know then, well, what is informing our ideas about love, So I think, when you say like, oh, your grandmother taught you how to look, past people's flaws and how to love and accept people. I want you to talk about maybe what's the good and bad in that lesson for you.
Let's see.
In the lessons that you've learned.
I would have to say that in all the lessons that I've learned about love, the good thing in the lessons that I've learned about love
from your grandmother. Let's start with your grandmother, because you talked about her talking about like being forgiving and unconditional, which is like great, right? But I want you to reflect on like what from that have you taken that is like this is wonderful, and then where do you see like there's some flaws, or maybe it's challenging, where it's been challenging to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd have to say that one of the things that is probably the things that I've taken away from my perception of love dealing with my grandmother and how I've learned how to love from her is that it allows me to kind of find some kind of common ground with most people that I encounter in how to love them, whether that be, an extensive amount of love where it's romantic, or like a familiar kind of love where it's like a friendship, or just a decency kind of love, where it's like, you know, I love you enough to treat you with some decency. I may not know you and all this different kind of stuff. So I say in that aspect, that was a great thing that I loved. And one of the things that I've learned. Now, one of the downsides to loving like that is the fact that it can make me very easy to some degree walked over, and allowing people to kind of take me for granted and not really knowing how to say no, because I'm like, oh, you know, if I love you, then, you know, I'll do these things for you. You know, if I love you, then I'll let you, you know, walk all over me because I'm understanding of like your problems and where you come from and all these things, which I'm starting to notice is, you know, is a really bad thing, because then I come into conflict. So I'm like, oh, I don't know how to say no, or, you know, I don't really like conflicts and different things. And it's just like, maybe if I loved differently, I wouldn't have to deal with these kind of things. But if I also love differently, then I wouldn't be who I am.
So how do you create that balance between the two? Like, I'm not about to let you walk over me, but I'm also trying to have this space where I do accept you for who you are, right? Like, has that been challenging?
Oh, hell yes.
Okay, talk about that.
Definitely, and y'all already know, I don't really talk about my mother on this channel, so this is probably one of the very few times when I will. But definitely in my relationship with my mother, I can see that, because I do love her because she's my mother and all the different things that she's done for me in my life. But I also have to keep in mind that there's that nuance there, that sometimes I love her too much and I allow her to do certain things to me as a person and my personality and like my well-being that is detrimental to me. Like allowing her to just put me in like certain kind of spaces where I'm just not feeling happy and shit, but I won't say anything to her because I'm like, I love her, and she, you know, she just got in from work and she's having a hard day. But I'm like, that doesn't mean that I have to invalidate my own feelings and be like, oh, just because she had a hard day means, oh, I didn't have a hard day, well, I wasn't going through any kind of shit. Like, no, she gets to come in here and just, you know, lay it all out on the table and I'm just supposed to take it. Like, no, I'm allowed to feel what I feel, and I'm allowed to have that even in relation with my mother, even with that power dynamic being there and all those different kind of things. So I'd have to say that it is an everyday, not so much struggle, but it is an everyday challenge and something that I do work on, because I've started to notice it, and I'm like, if I notice it, then I can change it, or at least I can start to try to change it.
So, and I want to be careful about how I ask this question, because I don't want to say, I notice we do that. I think black children, we're not child. We're not children, but we are somebody's child. And especially with our mothers, black folks, we tend to be really protective over our mothers. And I think, I definitely think that that's connected to enslavement, but also beyond that. I just think it's African, right? Like, but I think because of how do you say? Because our relationships with our mothers and black children with their fathers have been very, you know, disconnected and stripped away, right? Like, the fact that a black mother during enslavement was not allowed to care for her own children, or breastfeed her own children, or how a child could be, or a mother could be sold away from their child at any given moment, right? How you had to tend to master's children and his needs before your own kids, right?
And those kind of concepts just got passed down, right? You just, you know, inherently you're like, you know what, I'm protective over and I need to be around all these different things, even if it's toxic for me, because you never know when they're not going to be here. And it's like, because we never got that privilege to have that freedom where it's like, you know what, they're here, but they don't need to be the most important thing within my life. They are still a person. They have flaws. Right,
exactly. And I think you point to exactly the point that I was trying to make, because I think is that abuse in some ways? Because are we carrying out abusive ideas, right? Like when we say that, like, oh, well, it's my mama, so I have to.
No, we are. I can say that for sure. That the intent might not be abusive, but the ideologies and the way that sometimes they go about punishing or caring for or tough love or whatever can be abusive. Yeah. And it's acceptable because it's under the guise of, oh, I love you and I'm your parent, and that's just how it is. No, just because you're my parent doesn't mean that you are without flawed. Yeah. You are without any kind of flaws. You can't do anything wrong. You are holier than... No, hell no. Fuck that. No. Right. You have flaws, And yes, that's okay that you have flaws, but also that means that you need to be willing to work on them too.
Yeah, and I think too, it's not to like demonize our parents, right?
No,
because
not at
I think love is nuanced. That's why when you ask me like, well, what is love? What is love, and what isn't love? Man, like, I can give you some examples, but sometimes I don't want to romanticize love either. Now, what I don't want to say is that it's abusive, right? Like, let's be clear, right? Like, I think Bell Hooks teaches us her definition, and she was the first person who had a working definition of love, and she says like, you know, love is a spiritual nurturing of somebody, right? And like, when you being hurtful and abusive, like, you can't claim that you loving somebody because you not spiritually nurturing that person. You know what I mean? And
definitely.
So, like, I feel like I want to say that it's nuanced, right? But one thing it is it should uplift you. It should speak life into you.
It should. And when it doesn't, you shouldn't be afraid to speak out on it. And I've noticed that I've subtly been trying to do that with my mother. Like, every now and then, like, I won't just come out and be like, you know, that was really hurtful and that's not actually helping to uplift me in any kind of way. But I'll be like, now, if we really look at what you just said, like, does that help me? Like, is that really helping the conversation? Do you feel any better? Do I feel any better? No. Right?
Yeah.
And I'll say it just like that because I use humor to diffuse a lot of tension or things that I perceive to be tension between the two of us.
Yeah.
So I'll say it just like that, and she'll still take it to be like, you know, why does that need to become, you know, such a big topic or whatever? Like, you know, kind of just dismisses me.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel some kind of way. I don't know what kind of way. Well, I know what kind of way, but you know, it just makes me feel some kind of way where I'm just like, you know, I'm trying to voice my concerns to you as an adult, as one adult to another, and I feel like you just dismiss my feelings because you as the parent have that power dynamic and you're like, well, my feelings are just more valid.
Right.
You know, I just know these kind of things because I've been through these experiences. Okay, I've been through experiences too.
Right.
Let's not just completely, you know, invalidate my experiences.
Right. I get that. My mama don't make me feel that way no more. And I think it's just because I've learned to be a lot more, you know, be a self-sufficient person. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't, you know, there are things I still do depend on my mama for, but for the most part, I'm a self-sufficient woman. And so when you become more self-sufficient, you are able to navigate your relationships with your parents, you know, like, in a different way. But I remember feeling like the way that you felt. I remember feeling like, you know, invalidated is, I think, the biggest word for it. But, and then also just being mindful too, because I'm very careful not to demonize, you know, our people and demonize Black mothers, you know, in particular, because I think, like with anybody, with Black folks, because we've historically gone through so much, I just think many times we love the way that we know how. Like, many times we don't think we doing nothing wrong.
Because we don't know any better.
Because we don't know any better. And then more specifically, we see what we do as the standard, as the norm. Right? So when you internalize something as the norm, it justifies the actions that follow that. Right? So if I think it's normal to go around killing buffaloes, like...
then that's just what it is.
Right. Then that's just what it is.
If you're buffaloes, you ain't doing shit.
Right.
This is just what we do.
Right. This is just what it's nothing wrong with that. It's the norm. You know, like, so I think our parents just they love the best way they know how to, with the tools that they have.
This is exactly why in the younger generations and the newer coming generations, we have to learn how to love even better. Because then that will become our norm. Yeah. We have to not be afraid of changing what we perceive to be the norm just because it's always been that way. It doesn't mean that it can't change, that we can't add to it and change it and, you know, fix it and, you know, all these different things. So we can do that. We just have to not be afraid to do that. And it starts with, like, little things. Just, you know, like me telling my mom in different instances, like, maybe one of these times she'll listen and she won't invalidate my damn feelings. Yeah.
No, and I was going to ask you, too. Because this computer cannot go to sleep. Don't go to sleep, computer. Okay. I got to make sure that. So, the reason, I'm glad that you said that, because one of the things that I was going to ask you is like, how can we begin to unlearn the love that we've learned from our parents, with our parents, right? Like, how do you do that? Because I often say things like, I'm not going to be the type of mama that my mama was, but I don't know another way to be a mama.
That's true. So
how do you unlearn that shit?
I guess when you have interactions with other people and you seek out other ways or situations that cause you to love differently or that allow you to see love differently, that's when you can learn new ways of loving, because then you're like, oh, this is something different. This is something I haven't seen. This is something that's not constantly there, where that's the only way that I'm learning how to love. Especially like being in queer spaces, being in black spaces, being in both spaces, is just being around people other than my mother that love me, that I love. Being able to see that different kind of love allows me to learn a different way to love and learn a different way to show love and to know.
But then how do you do that with your mom? How do you do that with your mom? And I know you kind of alluded to it, like you started to talk about it. Like, I'll tell her, well, I don't like the way that you made me feel when you said that, right? But like, you know, I don't know if you can talk more explicitly about like, what is that work, committing yourself to that work look like with our parents? Because I think they deserve to also come into new understandings of love. I think
they do, but I think, and I don't know if this is just because of the way that I've loved, the way that I've been taught how to love, and me trying to be, not to a degree, self-sacrifice and all that shit. But I would have to say that you meet them on the level that they're at, and you try to teach them from that level, because I can't just go in there and start teaching her all these big, huge ass concepts. I gotta start small and smart.
Right, Mom, you have a colonized and like build up definition of love.
Yeah, I can't do that shit. Like, what the fuck is that shit? Are you trying to psychologize me and all this? I'd be like, no. I'm just trying to teach you what I've learned to better you as a person. But I can't go in there and do that, because I know where she's at, and I know where I probably need to start it if I'm going to be trying to teach her, which is like teach her little things, you know, here and there, a little topic here, a little topic there, a little talk here, a little talk there, you know, and then sooner or later it'll build up to where she'll have the vocabulary, she'll have the ideology, she'll know to when I bring up those big kind of ideas and topics and things, that we can actually have an intellectual conversation and actually both be better for it and come out of it even better.
Yeah. I think this is a problem. We gotta wrap up because I got a bar that's waiting on me.
She got a date.
No. I'm just kidding. I have a bed that's waiting for me.
Girl, same.
But no, I think, you know, what's hella powerful about this conversation is, I think, going back to this idea of like first contact, right? And we learn love from our parents in whatever form is given to us in, right? Like, essentially, we are our parents. In many ways, we are our parents' nightmares and dreams into the physical, right? Because, and when I say that, is the whatever emotions, whatever trauma they ain't worked out, whatever lessons of love they ain't figured out, they can put that into us, right? And we become that. And so I just think it's powerful to sit back on that and to think about like where we learn how to love from and sit with that. Like, where did I learn this from? You know, where is this coming from? Like, why do I think about love this way? And not just there's so many things that go into why we understand love the way that we do, right? Like institutions, media, right? Media is an institution, right?
Definitely.
It informs. I mean, me and you even talked about this with, like, for example, Moonlight. Why was Moonlight not playing in more theaters? And why was it only playing one time a week?
Seriously though, one time a week in the gay portion of San Diego, and that was fucking it. They were like, this as much as y'all need. Like, you know? Fuck that shit.
So you think about that. Like, then what is that suggesting? What is that suggesting?
It's suggesting that you and your population and your culture don't mean shit to us.
Don't mean shit, right? So what I'm saying is, it's a lot of stuff that goes into why we understand love the way that we do. But I think it's important to reflect on it more closely, like how in your household, you know. And I think for the sake of us who want to become parents or love, I mean, really not, it ain't even about that, but that too, because you don't want to end up passing that on, but just, I don't know,
those of us that just want to love better,
that just want to love better, right? Just sitting with your childhood and your teenagehood and just unlearning some of that stuff that is just not.
That'll be beautiful. Black family unlearning these colonized ways.
You gotta unlearn it. You know, so. Okay.
So this was a good talk. I don't know if you've seen my videos before, but usually I end them with my nice little sign off. So I'll say, I wish you peace, love, and oh so much happiness. Bye, Smarties, and then we blow them a kiss.
Oh, okay.
So if you're ready, you want to do it with me?
Okay, cool. Let's go.
So I wish you peace, love,
love,
oh so much happiness.
and oh so much happiness.
Bye.
Bye.